Adam,
Hi.
how you doing, my man?
Good.
Pleasure to have you on the pod. Where are we at?
We are at Dad's Printing. We're at 319 West Hastings Street in the back alley.
Okay.
If you know, you know. We have a sign now. We didn't always have a sign, though.
Okay.
But yeah, this is the home of Dad's Printing.
This is the home of
And
Dad's Printing.
We're on the couch in my office in the back because I can't work up there because it's so busy.
It's so busy?
Yeah.
You're a busy guy, though.
I stay busy. I'm going to tell that alarm that I'm too busy. Here we go.
Okay. The alarm was for me to show up at 3 p.m., by the way.
No, it was a tax thing.
Oops. Not for me. So, Adam, we briefly talked over the phone, and you gave me a rundown of Dad's Printing, what it's about. I'm just curious to understand why the name Dad's Printing.
Yeah. I get this question way more than I thought I would.
Okay.
And not bothered by it. In fact, I like explaining it. I just feel like the answer is often a little underwhelming. But
Okay.
maybe you want to keep that or not have that in the podcast. I don't know. Basically, when I was younger, like I'm talking like 19, 20, 21, I used to party a little bit more, as we do. I had this weird thing where my friends just called me Dad. It was just kind of an ongoing joke. It didn't really make a ton of sense. And people started calling me Dad that were outside of the group because they heard me be called Dad.
Okay.
So it kind of just expanded and it didn't really go away. And then when I started this print company, I needed a name and dadsprinting.com was available. And
That's a domain.
it was it was totally available as a domain .com. And that's like, for me, that's pretty important.
Right.
It should be for anyone really. And I took it because one rule I have about names, unless it's like meant to just be a local business, you should never have your city in your name because it kind of limits where you can offer your product. So like if I went for like East Van Printing or Van City Printing or something like that, I feel like maybe we're not getting business in Edmonton. Or like even Kelowna, even in the province, Toronto.
Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think the name is so important in terms of meshing with business needs?
Well, why would you put Vancouver in a business name?
Pride?
Really?
Local?
I think that's part of it, but I think a bigger part of it is like you want people in that market to buy your stuff. And it's not meant to be exclusionary, obviously, with this intent. But when you weigh yourself that heavily on that city, it's sort of like we service that city. That's why you don't hear like McDonald's wasn't like Chicago burgers or something like that. You know, it's like you need to actually, at least for Dad's Printing, to me, it's like a name that could work anywhere.
Right.
If we franchised for some reason, I don't think we will, but if we did, I could have Dad's Printing anywhere and it would make sense. There's Dads everywhere.
Right. It's a universal thing.
Exactly.
It doesn't just close you to like a niche local Dad's Printing shop.
And truth be told, when I came up with the name, it just worked. It was easy to remember. I get a lot of compliments on the name. And frankly, I didn't know what I knew about the local aspect of it now. I had no idea what this would become.
Right.
But, you know, it worked out.
Did you ever consider changing it?
No, not after I came up with it.
Oh, okay.
I can't, I mean, I don't know. Like, unless you picked a really bad name, there's a couple, I've heard some really bad business names. You got to kind of, I think, do that early enough where like people don't really know who you are yet.
Right.
I mean, you never really hear about it. You see companies do rebranding, like
All
they'll
the
change
time.
their logos or their color scheme or something. But the name is pretty important.
Right.
There's so much paperwork that's under the name. There's all these like, things that are tied to the name. I'd rather honestly just start a new company if that was the case.
At that point.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, that's really good that you've stuck through to the vision from the jump and that consistency for somebody who was just 19 trying to get into the game.
Oh, I wasn't 19 when I started Dad's. I was 24.
You were 24?
I had businesses before that, but 24 when I started Dad's Printing.
Okay. What other businesses did you have before?
Well, there was a kid on Facebook who was selling snapback hats. He would do like these meetups. You remember snapback hats?
I used to rock them all the time.
Not me. I'd have good hair. I can't do that with my hair. Too much hair for that. I saw a market.
You lucky.
I'm lucky as fuck, honestly, on that part. But basically had the hats. Someone else had hats, and I saw him doing it. And I thought I could do that. So I basically started, and I started with like $150 in business.
Was that your first sale?
Yeah. Yeah. So I bought like snapbacks on DHgate, which is like an Alibaba alternative. And I basically just bought knockoff hats, and I made a Facebook page called Hometown Apparel. This is like right before Facebook started charging for ads. So like when you make a post organically, everyone would see it, it felt like.
Right.
So I started buying hats and, you know, I had no idea what would actually come of it. I had never really had a success at that point in my life, frankly. Not just business, I just think in general. That's a whole other thing. Yeah, I just sort of, I tried it and people liked the hats and then it grew. And then, you know, a couple of years later, we had like 20,000 members on the page.
For the hats page?
Yeah, I would like do these meetups at SkyTrain
Whoa.
stations where basically I'd say, like, I'm here from like 1 to 2 p.m.
Right.
And I'd be inside of Blend's Coffee with like 200 hats in a suitcase. And people would like come and meet me to buy hats, or they'd pre-order them. So like, it kind of went through all these different iterations and moments of growth and sort of realizations of how I can do this better. Things like eventually going and having kids in high schools work for me as sales reps and like selling to their friends. Just these like little ideas and trying things.
You were exposed to business pretty early. So
Yeah.
how did you come about that spirit of being an entrepreneur? Was it something that you learned from your parents, or something that you just kind of like stumbled upon and took it?
It's funny you ask about my parents because they give the worst business advice. My parents have no clue about business.
Cut.
No, they'd acknowledge that.
Okay, all right.
They work in film, so it's just a very different world for them. I had an uncle that was really instrumental in my growth, who had a belt factory in California. I was never like given money to start out or anything, but he gave me his time and advice. And I think at that point, like people probably actually need time and advice more than they need money, because they're not going to spend the money well. It's inevitable.
Do you think that belief, that first person believing in you, is the fuel to who you are today?
I think it gave me direction, and it's not so much that I wouldn't have tried it.
Okay.
I started without his advice. He didn't tell me to start it.
Gotcha.
There were a lot of moments where I could have just stopped. I would get like legal letters from companies saying, stop selling our product or we'll sue you. That kind of thing. I got them from Supreme. That was a cool one. I wish I actually had that still framed on my wall or something. Like,
Was Supreme at that time?
it was, yeah, they were big. I mean, they were popular. That's
Okay.
why I was selling it. The thing with like knockoffs is you don't really have to market it because all the marketing's been done already. And so it was a good way to start. I didn't have to like ask for capital. I just basically bought hats for $5 from China and sold them for 25. That's pretty simple economics. And then I started doing lights for it and stuff, and it worked for a bit. It was good. There was like something between that and Dad's printing.
Right.
And that's important, I think, for Dad's printing explanation.
Right. Let's get into it.
So the knockoff thing was fun. Like I made money for a bit, but then at a certain point, I didn't get any inspiration from it. Like, you're not really creating anything. You're just stealing creations and selling them, which, I mean, gets a little depressing after a while. You kind of wonder, like, is this how far I can take this? Can I do more with myself? And I tried doing a clothing brand called WTF Wear, and it was my first time like ever doing designs. And I wasn't trying to be like the most fashionable. I was trying to like tap into actually the EDM market. So a lot of like all over printed stuff, very colorful stuff that you'd see at like a rave today. And I probably did it the wrong way. I focused much more on producing it rather than the marketing. And, I had all the stuff that I made, and we sold some stuff, not a ton, but like my realization about it, like was, I realized something when we were pitching it to stores. I didn't really have any luck selling it to the stores I was trying to pitch to, but what they liked was what I was capable of printing. Often something would go like, hey, I'd be like, hey, I want to sell this stuff to you. This is what we're going to sell wholesale at. And they'd look at the catalog and be like, well, I don't like any of your prints, but I like what you can print. How about you print our stuff instead? Like that was a massive realization because it made me realize maybe I'm in the wrong business or trying to do a brand. So I had some time to think it over, and eventually I kind of pivoted that to Dad's printing. Yeah. So that's how I got to Dad's. I wasn't ever like planning on being a shirt producer. Here we are.
Here we are. And sometimes you only get to know what you want to do unless you actually do the thing.
Yeah, I'm a big believer of the fear of failure being like a killer of business. A lot of people just never actually try their idea out. They have this idea they sit on for years, and then it never happens, or someone else does it, and then they're the guy saying, "Oh, I thought of it first." Well, you didn't do anything.
Right.
That's sort of a useless piece of information.
So do you think speed is very important in iteration of a business in terms of becoming a legit, credible business?
I think everyone works differently. Personally, I think, yeah, for me, it is. I'd like to see an idea out in the world before it's perfect. I know in the video game industry, I'm not a big gamer, but I know a lot of companies now have also taken that approach where they'll put out a game while there's still bugs. I don't love that idea of it, but I think that you got to strike when the iron is hot, especially if you think like there's a niche in the market. If there's any sort of time sensitivity to it, waiting is not to your advantage. There is definitely an advantage being first to market, or even second or third if the market's big enough.
Nowadays, though, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm curious on your opinion, entrepreneurship feels like it's kind of flipped on its head. Like before, we used to have a product market fit. You launch a product, you test the market, and then you see the feedback and then tool that product to fit the market. Now I feel like I've seen a lot of people build niche communities first and then release a product, which is more built and tied towards loyalty of the community or the person, and then they reiterate as the community keeps adapting to the product. Do you feel like that's a solid observation, or it depends?
Well, I think both are true. I think it depends, and that's a solid observation. I mean, I know people personally. I have a friend of mine named Ben who has a hair product line called Bloom-On, Bluuman. They have great pomade. I don't use it. This hair does its own thing, but if you need it, check it out.
Check it out.
And you're welcome, Ben. I'll take the $50,000 in check.
Cut me 3%.
You get 3%. Totally fair. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, he kind of did exactly what you just mentioned to start that. And he had created this Facebook group for hair. Him and this other hair influencer, and I think they did a partnership or something, and they built a ton of community. And then when they went to market, they had so many people that were waiting to buy the product that it worked really well. Like right away, you have sales.
Wow.
And it was kind of genius at the time. I mean, so I think that both can work. When I started Dad's Printing, obviously the hardest thing was to get your first clients.
Right.
And, you know, one thing we did was there's something called a mail merge, where basically it just sends a bulk email off a spreadsheet. So if you want to like personalize it, if you want to send, let's say, like 50 barbershops, you just have the name of the barbershop in one part of the Excel spreadsheet, the email, and it'll just be like, hello, insert name in the email you have.
It just auto-populates it.
Exactly.
Right.
So we did that with all the big colleges in Canada. And the proposition we had was, I'd love to work with you. If you work with us, we'd be willing to give you like an exclusive discount. Basically, the price you're not going to get anywhere. And for us, we're going to make less money off of it, but we're going to get more brand exposure. And we are going to get some business out of it. And I think we sent it to like 36 schools, and 35 of them never got back to me. But one got back, and it was UBC, which is kind of like the one I wanted.
Right. That's crazy.
And then from that, we were able to turn that into like a 3-year exclusive deal with the AMS, which is their student society where all the clubs go through, where basically anytime someone wanted to get shirts for their club, they would go through the AMS, and we'd give them that better price.
Right.
But for us, all those kids ordered year round. And actually, It was kind of interesting. Some of them, you know, are obviously graduated now and have ordered shirts for the companies they work for. So that's something that still pays off.
So that relationship bloomed to something beyond just the UBC connection that you formed at the beginning.
Yeah. And it also told me that, you know, we can find an angle to work with anyone. And the only thing stopping us is ourselves. Straight up, like, you know, the only reason we got that was because we sent an email.
Right.
And someone read it. Like,
only reason I'm sitting here is because I shot you an email.
Yeah, I respect email. I don't read every email.
You're hella diligent though, like with your response time.
Yeah.
We were going back and forth as if it was text. I'm like, damn, he's quick.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't mess around. I'd hate to lose business to someone who was faster than me.
Speed is your thing.
Not the only thing, but it matters. It shows that you want the business, that you care about it. You don't want to come off as desperate, but you know, people have options. They can choose with it. Like Dad's Printing doesn't have to exist at the end of the day. When I die, and if the company's not around, or if I change businesses and shut this down, like it's not going to be the end of printed shirts. So I actually have to like make an impact. I have to stand out.
It's important. It's important. And I think
totally.
You've touched base on like how you've just been independent from a very young age. What makes Adam think of, I'm just going to do business. I don't want to work for nobody else? Where's this sense of boss man vibe coming from? Like, from a very young age?
Yeah, I haven't worked for someone since I was 19, actually. I quit my last job. It was kind of a quit-fired mutual thing. I was at a tile shop, and I had started like the clothing I had started Hometown Apparel with the snapbacks while I was doing that. So basically what I realized is I'm making more money on my lunch break when I sell hats at the SkyTrain than I do at the job. So, and I have more freedom with that. So like no brainer. But delegating, it's so important in business. And there's a struggle at first where there's a trust thing I think a lot of entrepreneurs have where they want things to be done a certain way. And they know they should delegate, but they're afraid to delegate because they're afraid if they give it up, it won't get done the way they want.
How do you find a balance between that?
It's tough. I think being really diligent with your documentation is really important. I'm 9 years into this business. I've had a lot of time to like get better at this. I've built much better documentation. When we build a new process out, I have my staff help me with the documentation. So like everyone's kind of on board with it. We do Loom videos for everything.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. It's like really effective because everyone learns in different ways.
True.
Some people can just read words and be like, all right, I'm going to put that into practice. Personally, I'm someone who likes to learn from doing. And visually, I'm a much more visual learner.
Oh, more of a visual learner. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, just good documentation.
You mentioned how you delegated and have a process for everything, documentation and everything.
Yeah.
I'm curious to understand, how do you balance like creativity and having systems? Because you're a big systems guy.
I think there's a lot of creativity in automation.
Tell me more. Because automation can come off as boom, boom steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to think. So
Yeah.
how do you incorporate creativity into that?
I mean, the creativity part, you'd have to like look at how systems can be used to come up with certain solutions. So I'll give you an example of a system we made that I think is kind of creative.
Thank you for going there. That was my next question.
We used to have a full-time shipping guy. I don't want to say names, but he wasn't very good at his job.
No names.
No names. He was like, and you know, our business, honestly, at the time, I think I was just a little bit distracted because in hindsight, we didn't have enough shipments going out to need a full-time shipping guy. We're kind of like, we do big volumes, like we do big orders, but we don't do like tiny orders. So we're not doing like, 200 orders a day of like one unit. We're doing like 5 orders a day of 300.
Okay.
So
wow, that's a lot of volume.
yeah, every day is different, obviously.
Right.
But, and we have partners for certain orders that we send stuff to. Yeah, I had this guy named, I don't want to say his name, but he was working for me getting hourly pay, and his attendance was really bad. And it was just like, is this guy going to be here today? Oh, he's not. Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to deal with that. And I just kind of realized this really isn't working. All he does is like, he like takes the dimensions and the weight of something, he puts it into our system and books a label. So the first iteration of that was basically, we have people who work for us overseas in the Philippines, and this woman named Abby, I can say her name.
Yeah, shout out to Abby.
Shout out Abby, you're doing well. But basically, get rid of the other guy, just basically documented for Abby, this is how you book a label. Abby got paid $4 an hour, because that's a good wage over there. And I was paying the other guy $22, so now I'm saving $18 an hour.
Wow.
And she's already doing customer service for us, so it's not like this whole thing where she's just doing shipping. She's like just bundling it in with her workload.
Right.
So that was, I mean, to me, there's some creativity in, the thought process of getting there, the realization your shipping person doesn't have to be in the city you're working out of. The next iteration of that was...
Adam, would you say that's creativity or that's misfortune? Because it came as a result of the person not being good with his timing.
That's not my fault. He was bad with his time. And also, my businesses grow. They go through stages. McDonald's used to have way more cashiers than they have now. And then they put in those kiosks, so that made them billions of dollars. So, I mean, I guess it's misfortune in the sense of like, he doesn't have a job anymore. But like, I don't know, it's the way of the world. You could quit my job for another job. I don't feel bad about it. I didn't do it in a cruel way. I gave him notice and did everything by the book. Honestly, if you want to not be replaced by automation or AI, do the best job you can do and put 100% in, or companies are going to look at ways to replace you.
It's a touchy subject. You're going over there, bro.
I'm not trying to make friends. I'm just trying to give you honest feedback. The next iteration of that, Abby wasn't doing very good at her job eventually. And we kind of had to get rid of Abby because of some things. So one Christmas, I just realized, I think I can automate the entire shipping process without even having a person. And, I use Monday.com for order management, great software. And,
right.
Using like what I know about automation and APIs and stuff, basically within about a week, figure out a way that we could, basically all someone on our team has to do now, not even a shipping person, it could just be a production person. They finish an order, they put the weight into the system of how much the package weighs, how much each box weighs, dimensions of the boxes. And we just basically click a button and it triggers all these different shipping quotes we get. We pick a shipping quote, we click another button, book label. Not only it books the label, it sends the customer the tracking, it also sends the customer the invoice in real time, and it prints the label off.
Whoa.
All from that click. And
all from Monday.com? Or the APIs are connected with...
It's connected to a few things, but it's triggered by the status change in Monday.com.
Right.
So now it's like easier than it's ever been to book a label. And we're actually making money off the shipping now because we have always marked up our shipping about 20%.
You should probably sell that as a software on the side.
Maybe. But, that worked really well for us. And, it means that pretty much anyone can book a shipment label without having a ton of expertise. So as long as everything's in place.
How much cost did that save you in terms of the cost that you were running before when you had Abby and the other guy, and then when you shifted to automation? How much roughly in percentage did that save you?
Well, if I compare it to the first guy, I mean, whatever $20 an hour is full-time for a year. I mean, I would say that's probably somewhere in the $40,000 a year.
Right on.
Abby's obviously a lot less. Maybe it was for US. I'd say it maybe saves me $15,000 a year with Abby.
Right.
Maybe a little less than that actually. But not only does it save me money, it wasn't just done to save money. It was done to be better. It was done because automation is reliable when it works. So I know that person's going to get the right email with the tracking formatted every time. I know that if they haven't paid for shipping, they're going to get an invoice that's correctly marked up 20%.
Right.
And like all these things don't have errors now. So it's like not even just the savings that matter. It's like everything is
overall business relationships too.
Yeah. And it makes it quicker for us to get product out. Saves me a lot, makes our business better, makes shipping profitable, which is awesome.
I feel like just going into this with that mentality of evolution and just being open to like feedback, I think that's what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
Once you learn something, you're quick to implement and just pivot if necessary.
You know where I always learn about my business? Realize things is when I'm looking over financials, and I'm seeing how much we spend on something. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, does this make sense? And part of it didn't. So, I attacked it. So I get that that's not like what people think of as creativity a lot of the time.
Okay.
They think of like an artistic output.
I see the spin.
But I think creativity is really
Right.
just thinking about things differently and, putting your spin on it. So
Exactly. You just put a personal spin and twist to it. And I
Yeah.
see why you say the automation part became creative. Do
Uh,
you foster an inclusive environment for everybody to be themselves?
yeah, I do. I mean, I like variety in the workplace.
Nice.
It's tricky because like you want to give people freedom to do the job. You want them to also be efficient about their time and care about where their time's going. You can't be too hands off, or people might just not be doing anything. But you pay people you should pay people enough to not have to think about how much they're getting paid. That's really important. Otherwise, you won't get value. And you create a culture where people can voice their opinions. If someone wants a system, I look into if it's possible. I don't just say we'll get to it. I look into it pretty quickly. And that way people feel the want to speak up because they know that their opinions would matter.
What's your relationship with feedback from your employees and clients alike?
It can get hard not to get defensive sometimes, but I think you have to be able to take feedback. I mean, my uncle who had the belt factory that I mentioned earlier, he gave me, I think this is like the best advice I've ever gotten on a personal level, not necessarily even just as an entrepreneur, but just in life. To try to take your ego out of what you do is so important. A lot of people will like be stuck on their ego and never change their path based on what actually makes sense because they were so set on a certain idea. And I mean, I've had to work a lot at that. That was a big fail point for me.
How has this shown up in your personal journey?
I used to have a really bad relationship with my employees for a long time. That was probably like for the first like 6 years of my company was like the biggest killer. I had high turnover. People didn't really want to work for me. I didn't have an environment that fostered it well. That Jacob guy I talked about, he came in around 2023. And I remember it was a day where I knew that I already felt like the shop was really off, but like I talked to him, I said to him, Jake, we went for coffee. I come up with this whole plan the night before about the production for the day following. And I, gave this plan to everyone and I just saw I saw everyone like just disregarding it, being like, fuck this plan. Jacob went to coffee and I asked him, I said, listen, I know you haven't been here very long. I really feel like the shop is off. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but what are your thoughts? And he said to me, I'll never forget this. He said to me, people hate working here and they hate working for you, which is like, that's pretty tough to hear.
How did that make you feel?
Terrible. I mean, like, this is someone who's been here for 2 weeks and like, I thought I had something. I mean, I knew it wasn't a perfect business, but like, it just made me think like, oh, wow, there is a need for change like right away. I could have at that point, like Adam, maybe like 5-6 years ago would have been like, well, fuck you, buddy. But like Adam now is when he's like seeing that there's probably some truth in this, is like, oh, I'd like to hear more. And then I started taking notes and we started working at those things. But if he never says anything to me and if I don't listen, then how am I going to get better?
Right.
If you're not able to figure it out after 6 years, it's going to take something like that or some catastrophic failure or someone being level with you to actually see that there's a need for change. But, I worked on it a lot and I think we accomplished everything that I set out to accomplish after that meeting. And Jacob still works for me. My team's great.
So he's the first guy I actually met.
Yeah.
When I walked in.
That's the guy who said that.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. What are some of the tools and ways that you dove deep into this issue to resolve it, and what were the metrics that came out as a success for you after going through changes?
Where we are right now in the back of my shop, where my office is now,
Right.
was where we did some screen printing. We had a little screen print set up and it was pretty obvious to me that the screen print people weren't really that down to work for me. Like they were there for the cash and it's a job, fair enough. But like they weren't really that taking any pride in their work. And there was a lot of mistakes. And I just saw actually did the math and was like, we're actually, for the jobs that we don't do here with partners, we're making more. So why the fuck am I screen printing at all?
Right.
So got rid of all of them, got rid of all the equipment. Didn't have to worry about how they felt anymore. Got rid of the production people that were the same. Got rid of the shipping guy.
Cutthroat.
Kept 2 people at the shop. Now, granted, my business is a mix of people that like are here versus like overseas. Fuck it. It's listen, either be cutthroat or get your throat cut. Like,
hey man, it is what it is.
You have to make decisions like that sometimes. It made it a lot easier to like build this the right way. I didn't have to like go and start the company again, but at least the people here, you know, I had less of them to worry about. We were going into a slow season anyway. January to April for me is a little bit slower. We started working on the space, making the place more enjoyable, adding better ventilation, better lighting, getting rid of things that feel like this is temporary and replacing them with things that establish permanence.
Right.
Like we were meant to be here. Like we're going to be here a long time. That was huge. And then we started bringing the right people on, taking our time, making the right hires. I think for me,
do you do the hiring yourself?
I do, but my team's involved. That way we know we're having someone that's going to fit.
Like I'll
do like the initial phone interview when I'm hiring an in-person role, and then we'll maybe have me and Jacob or me and whatever staff is applicable, and then on the meeting. For a production person, we don't even actually do an in-person interview. We just do a phone call and a trial shift to see their work ethic. Because it's not, I mean, like, you can say you're going to work hard. Oh, my best quality is my work ethic. Those are fucking easy answers. But like, if I see how you work, if I see, does this person have efficiency in mind? Are they adding steps to what they do that they don't need to be? Then are they teachable? If they're not teachable, then it's not a fit. And unfortunately, I think with production people, they can be a little more expendable for that reason. But when you have a good person, hold on to them tight. And we treat them well. And like even at the shop right now, I think I have like 4 people working here. I have 4 people working here and I have a $3 million a year business. We have people overseas, granted. But like, think about that. My margins are good, man.
Damn.
And that's because that's because we needed the right people. You can have a shitty business and overhire and kind of effectively band-aid the problems with it. But like, I don't know, to me that's not, your margins are going to be worse. You're going to have fundamental issues that still come up. If you have too many people in a small space, I mean, our space isn't too small, but like, if it's overcrowded, I mean, it's just not going to be as pleasurable every day.
Love that for you, because growth is the only thing that is constant in this life, right? Like change and growth, like it'll always be going.
You have to be willing to grow, but if you do it, it's great.
Right. So you've talked about a lot with your business dealing with more B2B clients. Who are some of your standout clients that you've experienced, and what's the one that you would have a memory that would be, hey, that was kind of fun. I didn't know why we took that, but that was kind of fun.
Military, actually.
Military
is one of them that comes to mind.
Double click why you said that.
Yeah, so it's weird how it came about. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it happened. So basically, I guess it's like late 2023.
Canadian military or American military?
Canadian.
I know that contract was nice.
It's a nice contract. It's a 3-year contract, actually, as of pretty recently.
Adam is buying me lunch, guys.
I'm buying him lunch, guys. You have it here on camera. If you talk about how much you make or what you do during a lunch, you should pay for that lunch. That's my theory. Don't be talking about your money and then splitting the bill.
Come on now, clock it.
Yeah, so that one was kind of weird because, you know, I get this email in November, November 2023. I think that's when it was. Basically, from what looked like a military email, but it looked like it was a virus. It said like, "Dear Dad's printing, I'm in need of these items. Please let me know the cost." And then there's like nothing written in the email. There's a Word document. Like, who the hell sends a Word document as an attachment to explain the needs? That to me,
that's crazy.
That was strange. But I was like, I don't know. See, open the email, open the document. It's like just pictures of shirts, not attached to the email, but just in the Word document. It's the weirdest looking thing. It said like this quantity, this many, and it looked like big quantities, but it was like, there's no way this is real. No one this big would send this. But I had time, so I wrote back a quote saying, "Hey, yep, sounds good." Treated it like it was a normal client, didn't question it. These are the prices. Would you like to work with me? Didn't hear anything back for like 3.5 months. So I was pretty sure it was nothing. Then one day during slow season, because remember, slow season's January to April, I got an email from, I can't say their name, but she's been great to work with, just saying, "Yeah, let's do it." And I'm still thinking, like, is this still part of the scam? And I said, "Yeah, okay, let's do a call." And then we did a call the next day, and it was apparently completely legit. The scary thing with working
Did you try to verify the domain?
Yeah, I did eventually. And I verified that the person actually did work for the government.
Okay.
But the thing with government business that made this even a little more sketchy, if you don't know what Net 30 is, do you know what Net 30 is?
No.
So net 30 in the world, this is often a retail or business to business thing. We pay you 30 days after you've delivered the product, within 30 days. So I am paying all the cost up front for this, which when something looks like a scammy email and net 30 is involved, that's usually that's a pretty bad sign. But that's typically how government works. They're not paying you up front for your services, which means you also have to be able to afford the order to be able to take on the price.
Right.
Or you take a loan out.
Right.
And we took the order. It went perfectly. And they did like $150,000 with us that year. And it was like, all because I answered an email that looked like spam. I do a lot of the stuff at YVR. Anytime you see someone handling baggage with like a high visibility vest, they're going to have a logo on it that says AB Coast. We put that logo on there. Random places like that, you see my stuff.
That's so great. I feel like I've probably come across your work and I just didn't know.
Oh, you have 100% come across my work. Other standout clients that aren't interesting but are big with us, we do a lot of work for Amazon. It's kind of cool to be able to say that because I order off Amazon, so it's kind of cyclical. The Vancouver Canucks are a new client. We do work with the CFL. We do work with FIFA.
Ah, damn.
As of recently.
They come in here too for the World Cup.
That's part of why we're getting work with them. We do.
Adam, what the hell?
We got a ton of clients. I mean, these are some of the bigger ones, but like we work with businesses that are pretty small too. Like our minimum is like a dozen pieces. That was important for me when I started Dad's. It's like I wanted to be someone that everyone could use. But also I wasn't sure who would actually choose me, so I wanted to make it easy to choose me.
So when you were starting at that level and you're focusing more on SMBs at the time, I'm assuming.
Small market businesses?
Right.
I didn't go to business school. Sorry.
Yes. Small and medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
But when you're focusing on that type of business and dynamic, how do you end up scaling to the Amazons, the CFLs, the FIFAs? Like how does that happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I mentioned, I don't do all the production myself all the time. So the volume isn't necessarily a problem. If I was like having to do all the volume and then with the small team take on an order for like 10,000 shirts, like that's going to mean I can't take a lot of other jobs because my shop's clogged up with that. So I think having that good network of partners helps. It makes everything possible. But in terms of like getting found by these companies, honestly, part of what helps is that I've been around for 9 years. To be honest with you, having good SEO is important. It used to be more important, but it still matters. And good presence. And, you know, with what I do, it's not like people are first-time buyers often. Like we do get them, obviously, quite a bit, but like the real money, frankly, is like repeat customers who like come to us again and again and again. Not only that, like, you know, word of mouth is huge for what I do. We do a lot of like sports jerseys for people now. Like we do a lot of hockey jerseys actually. And what'll happen is you'll do jerseys for one hockey team. They'll be playing another team. They have a friend on that team. Hey, that's a sweet jersey. Where'd you get it made? Oh, check out Dad's Printing. Now we're doing jerseys for that team. Then the league gets wind of it. Now we're doing jerseys for the whole league. And then owner of that league talks to an owner from another league. And now we're doing all the hockey jerseys in Western Ontario. I'm not saying that happened. That would be very cool. But that's kind of how it works. And then you just kind of get out there more and more and more. I have met people, and I get validated with that because I meet people who've heard of my business in the world, but I've never met them, which to me is like the biggest honor to like have your work be appreciated like that as a service.
Right.
Not a consumer brand, but as a service. Right. That to me is nuts.
It's nuts.
And I love it. But you know, if I was like starting Dad's Printing now, I'd probably be on like the 12th page of Google selling custom t-shirts for my area. But like, you know, if you're McDonald's or someone and you look on the first page of Google, you'll probably find me.
Right.
And that is key. One thing too, remember how I said earlier, don't like pigeonhole yourself to one city?
Right.
We used to have all the SEO terms in the link structures on our site be like t-shirt printing Vancouver. Replace your city with your country. That helps.
T-shirt printing Canada.
Yeah.
Because now it's
Canada.
Nationwide.
What are we doing here? We're trying to get bigger.
Get bigger, get leaner, but more profits for us type.
Do both. You can do both.
How do you get big and stay lean? I think
from what kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
But go on. Sorry.
No, yeah, you kind of mentioned, when I asked the question, I was like, oh yeah, like production is with partners. It's just not.
Yeah. Use good partners, have good relationships, manage the orders really well. That helps. Make it easy for people to buy stuff. That helps in terms of the sales side. Yeah. I mean, like you can do both at once. You don't have to do everything. You only really should be doing production for something if if you can do it better than your competitors can, slash and or could be doing it for less. Like if it costs us more to screen print here, and why the fuck are we screen printing at all? Our advantage is a disadvantage.
Right.
So now I don't have to worry about that. So I get to put the energy elsewhere, like scaling the business, growing it.
I think you touched on word of mouth. That brings me to like community and just how that word of mouth can work way better than any ad can do. I'm curious to see your perspective on like for instance digital marketing and how that compares to like word of mouth. Like you run your ads, but you also got word of mouth where somebody sees a cool jersey. In your opinion, what do you think does the best in terms of relationship building in the community?
Relationship building in the community, probably not paid ads. I mean, they both matter. Like we spend, I can say numbers. I think we probably like we're kind of in the slower season right now. I think we're spending like $600-700 a day on Google ads.
A day?
Yeah.
Damn, Brian doing enough. I haven't run one ad.
I've been running ads for a while though. So we got a good return for it. But we lower it on the weekends, by the way, because we're business to business. Often companies aren't looking to order t-shirts on a Saturday.
On a Saturday or Sunday.
Or like after hours. We kind of conscious of when people are looking for that sort of thing. But that'll get you your clients. Like that'll get your name out there in terms of like getting the leads, getting the deals. But like community building is not like a one-time thing. Community building is like a gradual process, I think. So, with repeat clients, yeah, that's community building. I don't feel any obligation to community. Like I'm not trying to do what I do to be ethical. Like I'm trying to run a business. Again, when you take your ego out of what you do, you don't really worry about that shit. If it happens, it happens. Like, one of the things we do to like, honestly, like free up space in our shop is because a lot of shirts get misprinted. It happens, jobs get fucked up. We end up with shirts that have the wrong spelling of something, which is like the dumbest error, but it has happened a few times. We partner with like local charities and like kind of homeless houses to like, donate the clothes to them. We provide them with clothing. Probably donated like something like $20,000 in like apparel this year to our community. And
that's huge.
If we can if it's the right cause, I'll like take a little bit off the price. Still has to be profitable. Like, again, I try to make our work accessible. Like we still have to make money with it, obviously, but we're not trying to exclude the community. We're trying to provide an avenue to include them. So,
because at the end of the day, dad's printing is because of the community.
I think inevitably you are right. I think there is community in it. I don't want to like try to take the ethical route because my business is shit. I want to like be ethical within our processes and like create community by doing what we do best. But it's a business.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Otherwise, like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? We're trying to get money. That's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to be profitable, for sure.
A lot of talking on the business. If we're to separate the business and Adam, what would you say is your vibe as a person? Like, what's your ultimate flex as Adam, the person, separate from the business?
That's a great question. I haven't gotten that question ever. It depends who you ask. I think if you ask my girlfriend of 4 years, what up, Claire? She would say that I am the stupidest, silliest person at the house. Like I'm just like a complete fool, insane. Like, and I'm only like that with her. With my friends, I think my friends would. I pride myself on being a really good friend.
Right.
I have some really long-standing friendships.
Okay.
I pride myself on being reliable. I like to throw parties. I think there's like a lot of trust in throwing a party because you want to. If you throw a shitty party, people won't come to your next party. So
there's a lot of reputation at stake.
I try to make sure I'm like creating a good time with people, and not waiting for initiative to be taken. Like I like when it happens, but I take initiative with friends. I'm usually the one reaching out, and that's okay. I don't mind taking that role on. But yeah, I mean, I've got some great friends from that. I used to get bullied a lot in school for like pretty much all of it. And I think because of that, I'm not an exclusionary guy. I'm very honest with people. Like some people might even think I'm a dick because of it, but I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it because like, I don't want to lie. I don't want to be dishonest with people. And I think people would say I'm probably their most honest friend they've ever had.
You talked about how you don't have a lot of business friends.
It's gotten better,
Right.
but it took work.
But when it comes down to like decompressing outside of business and, but calming
Having like
down.
work-life balance kind of thing.
Right. How do you, what strategies, what's your toolkit on that sense, since now that you've built a network of people that you can trust?
Work-life balance is super important to me. It used to be something that I didn't have. I think the best things you can do, I mean, honestly, have an active lifestyle, have stuff outside of work, eat well.
Okay.
That makes a big difference. Like, don't make life so one-dimensional. I think in my 30s, I've realized hobbies make me really happy. So like, I play a lot of tennis.
Nice.
I started playing pickleball recently because of the winters. You can't play tennis in the winter so easily in Vancouver. Sports memorabilia, autographs. I don't know if you saw the front of our shop, but if you could back up there after this, there's a lot of autographs on the walls.
Hey, you big sports guy?
Big sports guy. Huge baseball guy. I enjoy
The Blue Jays, bro.
I was actually at the World Series. I went to game 3.
Oh, damn.
That was the one that went 18 innings.
Crazy.
It was crazy. It was really cool. I'm not a Dodgers fan either. I just had to watch a lot of really bad Blue Jays teams as a kid. So they kind of went sour on me because of that. It just was like, I wanted to watch other good teams, but I kept on having to watch the Blue Jays lose. It's like,
Heartbreak after heartbreak.
Yeah, it was just like, at this point, it's like, it's not worth it. But I think just having hobbies and interests and, finding ways to not work help with giving me balance.
Nice.
But there's always more work to be done. I could just keep working, but I won't be happy. And you got to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labors. Like if you just keep working and then you're old.
Why did you do all that for?
Exactly.
What does happiness mean to you?
That's a good question too. I actually have it right now in my life. I'm actually genuinely a happy person. I think for me, I look at like the pillars of my life. I don't know if these are technically the 4 pillars, but like for me, like, am I close with my family? Are we on good terms? Are my friendships good? I just got back from Galliano for a week with my friends. Do I feel fulfilled in my, single or love life? And I've been in a relationship for 4 years. Am I active? I am. I mean, is my life in order? It is. Is my business doing well? It's better than it's ever been. I think knowing that those things are handled and that they're working is balance. Right. And that makes me happy. So I think for me, happiness is like just, not everything has to be perfect all the time, but like as long as there isn't a part of your life that's like really suffering, if you can like just have comfort in knowing that everything's okay, not having to worry, it makes you able to enjoy things. Like I can go out tonight to the clown party and not have to like, I'm not going to be thinking about my company or like something. I won't be distracted. I get to be in the moment.
Right.
So I guess happiness for me is being able to actually enjoy the moment and not be worried about the other things.
Presence, awareness is key, man.
Yeah. I mean, like every experience is better when you're present.
True.
And when someone's hurting and if you're having a sad moment or like an upset moment, even being okay with being upset and like feel like crying, like actually cry, like feel that emotion. Like I get to be in the moment and I don't have to like hold back on things.
I think that's a secret to processing pain. It's allowing yourself to feel and process the emotions, because once you let them out, they're gone, right?
It's tricky with business even though, because like, yes, everything you said is 100% true, but in business, you're supposed to make like decisions without emotion. So it's like, you got to kind of, well, you are. I mean, that's the best business is done with a rational mind. That's why you don't work with friends.
Because it causes judgment.
Exactly. Like you won't treat a friend the same as you treat an employee. You could have 2 people doing the exact same job for you, but if one of them is a friend and one of them is like just an employee, you're going to favor your friend.
And that skews the equation.
So you got to kind of like, I guess with like work, I'm trying not to be too emotional. You got to be able to hear people's emotions as they come at you, but you have to act rationally. But like outside of work, you kind of have to change that a little bit.
That's on and off.
Yeah. So I definitely have moments where maybe I don't like remember each time, but like I've been doing this long enough that I kind of have a sense of it.
You're right. Experience is the best teacher.
Totally.
So what's next? 14, right around 9-10 years in the game. What's next for Adam and what's next for Dad's Printing?
I want to keep growing this company. I really like it. I really like our team. I don't think we have to make any drastic changes, just like grow what we're doing. Right. For Dad's Printing, at least. I do have another business in the works for just sports jerseys, because that's a huge market for us now. It wasn't always, but I think there's opportunities there. I think for me, it's like build more sales channels, whether it's in the same brand or like within like companies within your a parent company. So growing that out, refining our processes, and I think gradually creating better systems, removing myself from the day-to-day more and seeing what the hell I can do. But, you know, not taking any major pivots or anything. I don't need to. One of the good things about having a small team as well is if you need to make changes, you can make them way quicker. But if you don't need to, you just end up being efficient.
All right. And that's on the business front. What about the personal front?
My investments are going well. I own my apartment. Maybe I'll buy a house soon. I want to go to Africa next year. Back to South Africa, maybe in like April or March.
South Africa?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I might be there at the same time.
Well, let me know. I'll probably be there early March. It's looking like. I want to travel a little more. Maybe take my relationship to the next level. But like, no, I think it's funny. Like people ask sometimes, like when someone's like trying to figure their shit out, you ask them how they're doing. Their answer is really exciting because they're trying to figure their shit out. But the last year and a half, when people ask me how I'm doing, I feel underwhelmed with my answer because it's like, because everything's going really well. Like things are good. Like I'm good. I'm doing the same thing as usual because it's working. But like, it's not as exciting an answer as, oh, we're doing this huge pivot to do this and bring this into the business. And no, we're going to introduce SEO and AI. And I don't do that shit because it works.
Sometimes it's not necessary.
No, but it's not exciting.
Okay.
It's not an exciting answer. It's good. My day's going well. Things are good in my life. How is yours? That's boring. You're not learning a lot from that answer, but like, there's not a lot there. Like the thing I get the most, that's honest to God, the truth. I feel like it's sometimes a little more boring an answer when things are going well, but that's also not everything has to be exciting.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like sometimes the boring stuff, growth is boring.
Yeah.
Because it's a repetitive thing. Like
growth is exciting. The process behind growth is boring.
You're right. The process behind growth is boring, but growth in itself as a concept, you're right, is very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely to hear, bro. Thanks for having me at your place of work.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Why did you there's a lot of entrepreneurs in Vancouver, a lot of people doing their own thing, who honestly maybe would have more, well, I think my answers have been pretty good. Why me?
Why you?
Why choose me?
Honestly, it was kind of like the military email. Shot my shot. I'm looking at businesses that are more to do with more like a B2B, and I felt like there was a story behind it because I had never heard of dad sprinting. And then the name just caught my attention.
Well, that means we're not doing our job if you haven't heard of us.
No, to be honest, we're two different people from two different lanes. Sure. Like our worlds are just colliding, and that's okay. They're meant to collide right now. But what I'm trying to say is I'm not in a B2B space yet. So I've been dealing mostly with individuals, creators, entrepreneurs from an individual standpoint. You're dealing with like businesses.
Yeah.
So our worlds are at the time they were very different. But the moment I started looking at B2B, you're the top 5 people I reached out to. So it was more about, I think it's more about alignment in terms of, because I believe in alignment. I believe like we were meant to have this conversation because I've learned a lot in terms of like streamlining processes and just being cut through to the business. These are things that I can only learn from having a conversation with you.
Do you feel like you learned something new? Like, do you like take pieces from every interview and kind of like incorporate them into what you do?
100%. That's why I love what I do.
This is maybe for my ego a little bit for me to ask this question, and maybe it's a little early, but do you think there's anything that like stuck out to you that maybe you would actually like, use?
Honesty and off the top of my head, honesty and just being upfront. That's something that I've struggled with personally in terms of like when you meet somebody who you probably don't match with, you're trying to cuddle their ego, cuddle the environment that both of you are a part of. And sometimes it's just, yo, bro, I just don't see a fit. Like, hey, let's just keep it a buck.
You know, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because sometimes I'll have these job interviews I do with people I'm hiring where like I've got like 8 questions, but like by question 3, it's very apparent to me that this would never work. And some people will like finish the interview. But to me, that's like, A, I'm wasting my time because I've already made my mind up. B, I'm wasting theirs. Then I might not like how I waste it. Well, they might not like that I'm about to end the interview, but like they can keep on going with their day. In a way, I'm sort of doing us both a favor. But like, Yeah, there's a lot of power in honesty, and it can be a really big time saver.
But it's not a popular opinion because it can go either way. And as I said, for me, what I'm learning from this interview and speaking with you is the idea of let's save each other time. Like from the example that you just gave, you know, time is very precious. That's the only thing you'll never get back.
I guess the older I get, the more I realize that doing things to be popular is not a great reason to do them.
I'm not gonna go deep into that because that's a personal childhood wound that I don't want to touch base
Well, I used to
on.
want to be really popular as a kid, and I got rejected a lot. So
Right.
it used to really matter to me, and it was a letdown. And I wasn't being authentic. But
And-
I won't go on to it because you don't want to go into it. But
No, do you feel like you're tapping into your authenticity more the
fucking
more you-
absolutely. Like I said, my friends would say I'm the most honest friend they have. You don't have to work. You don't have to wonder about what I really think.
You gonna say it?
Pretty much. And I'm going to say,
Have you ruined relationships with that approach?
oh yeah. But you know what? They probably weren't relationships worth keeping. You don't necessarily feel great about it at the time, but like when I look back on it, it's like, wow. I used to smoke a lot of weed. I still smoke a little, but like I used to smoke a lot. And there's like friends that I would smoke a ton of weed with, and we'd like hang out a lot, and we'd smoke weed together. But when you hang out with those friends and you're not smoking weed, you like wonder, why the fuck am I here? You realize the friendship is built on weed.
Oh, that's always a tough realization.
Yeah. A lot of people have had that. I mean, I'd just rather not. I'm not even sure if that has anything to do with what you're asking me, but
No, I think just to kind of like sum it off, the way you approach that question to me is I like this interview because it's part of integration of my healing journey. Coming from a very dark place, I found an avenue to relate to people beyond just the regular day to day, like what's the weather like and
Sure.
this and that. And you come in and everyone is different. Everyone has a different vibe. Everyone has a different opinion. But the more you can adapt to talking to different people, you just enhancing relationship building, which I think for me is very important in what I do. And I think I've learned, I'm just grateful that I actually reached out to you and I can always touch base with you on matters of business or just life in general because I'm always open to learning from people who are actually in the field doing stuff because those are the people you learn the most from.
can I say one thing before we end this?
Yeah.
You know, people with the knockoffs. I had a lot of people that gave me a hard time because they were knockoffs. They weren't the real thing. If I had to do get authentic hats, I probably would have had to have a store, invest a bunch of money, take a huge loan out without knowing I was meant for business. With this company, you can't see it right now, but we are in a basement in the not far from the downtown east side. Sometimes there's some sketchy activity outside this alley. And when I moved to this unit, my mom hated it. Like I showed her and she was like, I can't believe you just signed a 3-year deal for this place. And it wasn't pretty. It was just like, it was literally just like a box with there's no like really not a lot of like natural light. And we're not like, if we were a retail store, this would be like the weirdest retail experience. But if you run a good business, none of it matters. Like we don't have people come here. We're going to do around, I guess said now a couple times, we're going to do around 3 million a year. And my rent is like really low. And at the end of the day, like take your ego out of what you do, just make it make sense and you can run an incredible thing. So fuck what other people think.
I love that. If you were to summarize, and then we go end it, if you were to summarize your journey, both personal and business, into one word, what would that word be?
That's not, the word isn't fuck. I was thinking it's either persistence or execution.
Why? Okay.
It's hard to say well, persistence because like I've been knocked down a lot in my life and the one thing I've done every time that's gotten me to where I'm at is I always get back up. So I'm persistent because of that. I had bad moments in the business. I worked past those. I'm persistent. Execution because I've never been afraid of trying something. And I usually just execute it. And if it doesn't work out, fine, I'd execute the next thing.
Execution.
Yeah, execution because I do it.
Appreciate you.